And now I'm going to reconvene the regular scheduled board meeting for August 7th. Sorry for the delay. We're going to start with a roll call, which we have Trustee Lawrence. Here. Trustee Dirk. Here. Trustee Mayo. Here. Trustee Hansen.
Here.
Trustee Mason is here, and I would ask you now to stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now have to report out of our closed session. Item 7.1, the readmission of student 15-17 to regular schools in Mount Dido Unified School District has been delayed pending further information. 7.2, admission of student 19 into Mount Dido Unified School District has been delayed for pending information. 7.3, confidential student matters pursuant to Ed Code 35145.5 is one case, and we received information on that. 7.4, anticipated litigation, conference with legal counsel pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9B. There was actually only one case in which we received information. On 7.5, we had conference with negotiations pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, agency negotiators are myself and Larry Shanky, and we received information on that. 7.6, negotiations. The board may discuss the negotiations to provide directions to its representatives regarding represented employees pursuant to Government Code Section 3549.1. And on that, we authorized 2 settlement agreements unanimously. And on with Medea, sorry. 7.7, possible discipline, dismissal, release, or reassignment of public employee. There was one case on which the board gave direction to our council. So that takes us to public comment, for which we have quite a bit tonight. So we're going to be putting it down to 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes, because we have lots of other things to cover. So what I always begin with the public comment is letting the public know that the board operates under the open meeting laws and the Brown Act, and that requires us to do one of 3 things during public comment. So we can either ask you a clarifying question, we can refer your issue to a staff member, or we can refer it to a future meeting agenda, but we cannot get into a back and forth conversation with you about it. So don't think that if we're not responding, we don't hear you or we don't care. We're just trying to be responsible. And before we jump into that, we have our guest board member for the night, which is Hannah. And you want to say your last name so I don't murder it? Hannah Jennifinch. And Hannah, you are free to chime in anytime you want. You just don't get the pleasure of voting yet. maybe when you run for the board one day, you will get that, but please feel free to add your comment anytime, and if you need to go home and study, we understand that as well. So you're free to leave when you want. Okay, our first speaker is Jonathan Paul Smith II.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Smith. I'm with East Bay NSBE. NSBE is an acronym for the National Society of Black Engineers. Our mission is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. Our students work in a number of different areas in the engineering field, such as mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. We teach our students physics. They do drone robotics competitions and designs. We also have app development, and our students have a 100% high school graduation rate since 2006. Thank you. We also have a total of 1,379 engineering degrees from our graduates of our program who have matriculated from K through 12 students. And we're very excited to be expanding here to the Mount Diablo Unified School District. Our impact in Pittsburgh Unified School District has been substantial, and we've impacted so many families and created a culture that we definitely believe students in this school district should have access to, and we definitely are sure they can benefit from it. So we're excited to work with you guys moving forward, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dustin Boone.
Good evening, my name is Dustin Boone. I'm a parent at Sequoia Elementary. And so I'm not really here to make statements. I just have a couple questions for the board. Given the forum, I suppose they're semi-rhetorical. So that being said, I'm here to address the student that was transferred to our school, and it's a major issue with us apparently, given the presence here. So I'd like to understand what the process has allowed this student to be transferred when others are on the waiting list. And given the level of parent involvement at Sequoia, it's inevitable this to be noticed and become an issue. So why was there no notice or training provided to the teachers or staff at Sequoia? Given the circumstances at Sequoia and nationally, why has a full-time police officer or security officer not been assigned to protect our children, or every school for that matter? And then fourth question and final question is, what help is the student receiving and our teachers are the ones provided? Given the current climate at Sequoia, how likely is it the student will not harbor ill will towards our teachers or students? And based on the message the school district sent, I understand its position as board that every child has the right to an education. This being said, I believe collectively that the parents of Sequoia firmly believe that every child has a right to safety. Thank you very much.
Denise Yoshigurki.
Good evening, honored board and Superintendent Meyer. My name is Denise Persha. Part 2. I told you I'd be back, and I am. The last time I was here, I recounted a conversation that occurred during a meeting that I attended on July 16th for the steering committee, discussing the 5th grade curriculum for 10 and 11-year-old children. The sexuality curriculum was developed by Advocates for Youth and is titled 3 R's Curriculum: Rights, Respect, and Responsibility. I'm pretty sure that there is at least an audio of that meeting that I attended, because school districts are required to record any public meeting. Remember, I was the only parent in the room who was not on the payroll of the district as either a teacher or a principal, and one union rep. During this meeting, a discussion ensued about anal and oral sex And the discussion included the reason it was important for the district to provide not only a definition of vaginal sex, but should also include a definition for anal and oral sex too, because, as this person said, if the district didn't provide parity across sexuality, they would get sued by various groups. However, if you're interested in understanding how this conversation could take place, it is actually that the lesson plan titled Sexual and Reproductive Anatomy includes sexuality and sexual anatomy. And this is a field too far and scripts the teacher to point to the clitoris and say, this is the clitoris, it is very sensitive. And in another lesson plan, a homework video describes puberty and masturbation for boys. Of course, all the children, both boys and girls, are in the same room for the instruction. Then in another lesson plan, the district taught the definition of vaginal sex, quoting, the penis is inserted into the vagina. And in another lesson plan described relationships, including bisexual and queer.
I'm sorry, your time's up.
All right, thank you. I'll be back for part 3.
Linnea Dolan. Linnea Dolan.
Hi, my name is Danica Dolan. I am a 6th grade parent at Sequoia Middle School. I think we have the question part answered. What I'm mostly concerned about is the health and the safety of our children. I don't think that this is fair. I don't think that one child should take precedence over hundreds of staff and children's safety. I don't want my child to want to go home sick because he doesn't feel safe at school, which is happening. And we love our school. We don't want this child in our school. And we hope that you hear us and we don't feel safe. And if you're worried about a lawsuit from this child's parents, please take into consideration a civil class action lawsuit for negligence.
Yes.
Emotional distress. Hopefully not wrongful death.
Thank you. Jennifer Tangalag. I got the first name right.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Tangalig. I'm a parent of a 6th grader at Sequoia Middle School, and so I just wanted to let you guys know what me personally, what I'm struggling with is about 3 years ago in March, my brother was stabbed at school here in Martinez. It's something close. It's my son's uncle. It's something that's very relevant to my kid and to our whole family, that this isn't just a threat, that it possibly something could happen. So like Danica, my son is not feeling well, has sore throats, stomach ache, because this is a real threat to him. And I'm struggling with sitting down and telling him that everything's going to be okay. You're not in danger, because he is, and there is that possibility. So I just wanted to let you guys know that there is kids that are just going to be affected by this, more than just, they're just going to be affected by it.
Laura Fernandez.
Hi there, I'm Laura Fernandez. Over the last 15 years, I've had 3 children go through Sequoia Elementary and Sequoia Middle School. I have always felt that their safety was a primary concern of our administration. I have also loved and been proud of our strong-minded and supportive parents. This is our time. Our parents have it wrong. I was extremely surprised to see the support a petition could bring to convict a child who has been charged with no crime. I would love to read some of the hateful things people in this room posted on social media about a 13-year-old child that I don't actually believe they truly meant. Just as sometimes we all hide behind a device and write things out of emotion that we don't mean. I have a child that goes to Sequoia Middle School, and if the elected district attorney has not charged this child with a crime, the elected school district has sent him down the street. The hired school administration has let him in. Then who are we, the uninformed parents, to judge him when we have none of the facts? Why do we ask more of our children to not judge others without all the facts than we do of ourselves? Our children learn from what we teach them, especially a child whose life that we will change the course of. Thank you.
Julia Jameson.
Thank you, President Mason, members of the board, Superintendent Meyer. My name is Julia Jameson, and I'm a teacher of English at Mount Diablo High School. This evening, I'm here on behalf of my colleagues and their students in the BASES program, the district's program for students with exceptional behavioral and social emotional needs, because they are facing an untenable situation, and I'm here to implore you to help them solve it with all appropriate haste. Currently, 2 teachers are teaching 2 different classes in the same classroom at the same time. At the end of last school year, the district informed our site administration of their intent to open a 4th classroom of the BASES program on our campus. Mount Diablo High School is currently undergoing renovations and has a building closed. As soon as that building opens, another building will be closed. Our site administration advised the district that there were no classrooms available on our campus for this additional class. The district proceeded to place the class out at Mount Diablo High School anyway. So on the first teacher day, August 13th, 3 of our teachers learned that they would be sharing classrooms and teaching different classes in the same classroom at the same time. Now, during one period, 2 teachers are teaching English, and it so happens that they are teaching the same grade level, although that was not the case on the first day of school. They have graciously agreed to share the space with no protest. However, during a different class period, one teacher is teaching personal finance, while another teacher is teaching Algebra 1. These are students who, because of their special needs, have an acute need for an orderly space, and this situation is not acceptable at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Micus Bala, I'm not even going to try. Micus, come up and tell us what your last name is.
Hi, my name is Micus Valdeweza. This is just in regards with what Denise Portia was saying earlier about their 5th grade sexual education class. In one of the lesson plan, Sexual Reproductive Anatomy, very explicit drawings are provided of both the male and female sexual anatomy. Well, sure, it's all scientific, but the drawings are very explicit and detail the clitoris, and the lesson plan instructs the teacher, then point to the clitoris and say, "This is the clitoris, located above the urethral opening. It is very sensitive." The lesson plan also details an in-class assignment where the body parts are diagrammed and children are to check a box if boy or girl has that body part. However, the clitoris is pretty famous again. Yes, it is also mentioned again, and the in-class exercise states, item letter I on the worksheet, which body part is the sensitive part. That would, of course, be the clitoris. So not only does the lesson plan script the teacher, but the lesson plan has an in-class assignment that again reinforces that the clitoris is sensitive. Of course, both boys and girls are in the same room together during this lesson. I really believe that the curriculum is not age appropriate. It's not for a 10-year-old or 11-year-old to listen to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sally Wood.
My name's Sally Wood, and I'm actually a parent within the Occolani Union High School District. And I've been looking at the comprehensive sexual health curriculum since 2015 at different schools. My major concern about the curriculum that you are examining is that it exposes children to sexual activities without giving adequate information about negative health consequences associated with these actions. You propose teaching 10 and 11-year-olds about vaginal sex, oral sex, and anal sex without instruction about the risk factors associated with these activities. An example of not disclosing information would be the tobacco industry. And they withheld information from the public, and they were sued basically and had to pay a lot of fines. The Center for Disease Control and an abundance of medical journals have scientifically and medically accurate information about the health risks associated with these different types of sex. And the information, if you intend to teach those forms of sex, should responsibly be taught what the risk factors are associated with them. That would be my point to you. Thank you.
Thank you. David Girardon.
Good evening, Dr. Meyer, board members. My name is David Giordano, and I'm speaking on behalf of my son David, who is in the 6th grade at Sequoia Middle School, as well as on behalf of his fellow classmates. I'm speaking tonight in regards to the new student in the 8th grade at Sequoia Middle, who not last year, but less than 3 months ago, threatened to commit a mass murder of 30 students at Valley View Middle School. Several Sequoia parents have strong evidence that shows this community should be considerably concerned beyond the vague information we have been provided. Furthermore, the district should be aware of the enormous liability of this move, because the details of which we are aware demonstrates that Sequoia Middle is quite obviously an inappropriate placement for this new student, and that the DA should reopen the case. This new student does indeed have a right to privacy, but not at the expense of the safety and the feeling of well-being of the entire student body. It seems the district did not follow due process outlined in the student handbook. If the protocol was indeed respected and followed, the new student should have been put up for expulsion and not allowed to return to any comprehensive middle school. The new student would be better served in a small alternative setting, such as Diablo Day or Golden Gate Community School, where he can receive the intensive supports he truly needs. I know this because I am a teacher at an alternative school in this district whose safety has been compromised multiple times in the last school year alone. The district says it would never compromise the safety of our students, staff, visitors, and community. They maintain we all share the same concerns and fears when it comes to school safety. That is not true in this case. The individuals who made these decisions are safe in their offices when our students and teachers are on the front lines, at first oblivious of this very real threat. Sequoia Middle safety has been compromised because the new student not only made a threat to commit a mass murder, but had the means to carry it out. We have heard multiple firearms, some of which were loaded and not properly stored, were seized. And if those guns were legal and no one was charged, the protocol calls for the weapons to be returned to the rightful owner. This new student was not charged because of a technicality. He did not name the students he threatened to kill. Certain staff members at Valley View were incredibly worried about what this student was and is capable of, and the staff of Sequoia Middle were not properly informed of this transfer, which is in violation. I've taught in this district for 15 years. I'm a former teacher of the year. May I finish my speech?
You have to see everybody the same.
Yes. We want to hear it. You want to hear it. Let him finish.
You cannot yield your time. Okay, Cynthia O'Brien.
If he's no threat, Valley View is a perfect placement for him.
That's right. Send him back.
Please, you know what, up until this point, I've been so impressed with the way you're conducting yourself, so let's keep going on that vein.
We're not here to impress you. We're here to decision.
I have an 8th grader at Sequoia Middle School. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous.
I should not be scared to send my kid to school.
Right.
It is not fair. It's not fair to my child. It's not fair to the other parents. And I don't think anyone here feels like we're trying to do harm to this young man. But you're talking about 2 months, June 5th to the end of August, and you put him back into school, and I just can't believe that he has been evaluated to enough that people believe that he can be safe. I want him to receive help and support.
Yes.
But not at the expense of my
Not in our
child.
public schools.
And my child is nervous about going to school. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and attention. My name is Shannon Leckie. I have 2 sons at Sequoia Elementary School. I came here to request that the district and Sequoia schools provide a swift and transparent communication around the decision to admit the student who threatened the lives at Valley View Middle School in June. The parents of Sequoia Middle and Elementary schools are grappling with how to respond to the minimal and alarming information that we have learned primarily from the news, which included an FBI statement. Our children's physical safety is in question, and it is not reasonable to expect that parents put all their trust in the school and the district when the communication has been so scant. We need to know that the decisions and actions reflect the realities of today's climate of gun violence. And to be specific, here are some of the questions that I believe are critical to be answered and released to all Sequoia parents. Has a mental health professional signed off on and taken responsibility for the student returning to a public school setting after only 2 months? How did this student undergo a major disciplinary action and then receive a coveted seat at a magnet school with a long wait? I've heard contradictory information, so did this student have access to unsecured firearms? And have all firearms been removed from the home of this student? Will the student's personal bags be searched when he enters the Sequoia campus on a daily basis? Will there be any additional campus security, personnel, and/or procedures put into place to appropriately handle a student who has talked about murdering other students? Who exactly in the district will be responsible and held liable if any student is harmed at Sequoia? Will the student body be provided with a training both on how to report anything suspicious they hear as well as how the school will respond in a shooter event? And at a minimum, I personally feel the student should be homeschooled until transparency is achieved from the district to the parents.
Good evening. I'm here to address, like many of the other Sequoia parents here, the petition. I'm the person that started the petition to have the student removed from Sequoia Middle School. And a lot that I already wanted to say has been said. I just wanted to remind the person who, I apologize, I forgot her name, but she stated how, we're just making assumptions or we don't have the facts. No, we have the facts. There's facts that are not able to be publicly shared, but the Sequoia community does have parents working for certain entities that happen to know facts and know information, and it is concerning. It's concerning. It's word that gets out there. It's just stuff is said, and the fact that the DA did not charge this child based on a technicality for simply not making a credible or viable threat. There's a difference between a general threat and a credible viable threat. A credible or a viable threat, it just names specific people, a group, a place, which this student did not do. And the same warning was given at Parkland High School. The student over and over again complained, and this student, Nicholas Cruz, was never arrested. He was not charged of any crime before he took 17 lives on February 14th of this year. And, I also, too, believe that this student, because if it were my 13-year-old student that made this threat, whether he intended to carry it out or not, I would not want him in a general public school, with other students who are going to ostracize him, and this is going to happen. I mean, he does, need to, I would have made it a private transition. But also my son, too, I have withdrawn him from the Mount Diablo School District entirely. He no longer goes to Sequoia Middle School. And why is that burden on me? I'm withdrawing my son. He's committed no crime. He's been at this school since kindergarten with all of his friends. Kindergarten through 13, he's had the same best friends. Or kindergarten through 8th grade.
And, you know, he's never been in trouble. He's a good student. He's an honor student. He wants to be at school an hour early so he can shoot hoop with his friends. And now that whole social aspect of school has been taken from him because I care about his safety more.
I'm sorry, your time is up. Lisa Endles, I can't make it out, mostly because it's light writing.
Thank you very much. I too am a concerned parent at Sequoia Middle. I want to be compassionate to a kid who's got obvious issues. We have no idea what his issues are, and I think that's part of the frustration. But I kind of feel like a month and a half, 2 months isn't enough to make sure that it's okay. Because as others mentioned, the Parkland shooter was also deemed, okay, not a credible threat. Well, yeah, it kind of was. I think there are alternatives for him where he can be supervised and educated. He shouldn't be cast aside, but at this point, a week in with all these angry parents, I'm a little worried about that boy. What are the kids saying to him at school? What's going to happen when he's 15 and raging with testosterone? I think more care could have been taken and a little more communication.
Liz Chandler? Liz Chandler? Oh, here she comes. She's got a little one.
Hi, not to speak in public. I'm here to talk about mental health, and I feel that the child at Sequoia Middle School has some mental health issues. If you use a homophobic slur and you say you're going to kill 30 people, there's something that's not right there, and this child's mental health needs to be addressed. I don't believe that Sequoia Middle School has the capacity to do so. My understanding is that they have 2 counselors for a large group of children who are middle schoolers. They've got a lot going on in their lives. A lot of them need counselors for maybe school help, but this child needs more help. I feel like there are alternatives that this child could go to. I understand that there's the Floyd March's School that has 3 psychologists on staff for about 100 children. That's a great ratio. That would be an option for this child, or some other alternative placement where this child has help for whatever mental issues he's going through. I'm concerned about the mental health of the middle school kids. Are they concerned that his kid's going into his backpack? What's he gonna pull out? Is it his binder? Is it a gun? We don't know, because we don't know if he's being searched. We don't know if there are still guns at his house. We don't know this. I'm concerned about the LGBTQ kids who know that this kid used a homophobic slur. How do they feel? A lot of kids whose safety is at risk. Mental health, we don't talk about it enough. Every time there's a school shooting and we talk about we need to do more for mental health, we're not doing it. Let's be the school, let's be the school district that does something to help this child, to help his mental health, to get through this, to get him back in a mainstream school. But I do not believe at this point he belongs in a mainstream school. He needs additional help.
Kimberly Cavalho?
Hi, fairly close to not bad. I am a parent of a Sequoia Middle School student, multiple Sequoia Middle School students, and I also kind of feel like I don't want to use this time saying the same thing that everybody else has said. I fear the mob mentality that seems to be going on around here is more dangerous than good. I worry about our students at this school, and I worry about this boy and how this is affecting him. I think ultimately it falls on you guys to decide what's right for him. Initially, I think more information would have kept a lot of this from getting as out of control as it did. The stuff that's flying around online can't all possibly be true. It's contradictory, it's confusing, and that's frightening in and of itself. But when it's some of the stuff that we're reading and it's our kids, it's more frightening. So going forward, I think as much transparency as possible is the best thing for everybody involved. I know there are privacy laws. I think discussing what steps were taken by PD, by the district, by psychology, medical, just letting us know that these boxes were checked would have been very important, and going forward will still be very important. I'm all for taking care of this boy. I think we should take care of this boy. I hope that things work out and that he mainstreams at Sequoia, where we are all about taking care of our kids and giving second chances. But if he has the right to a second chance, we need to know why. We need to be on board, because we would be. We're a parent-involved school, and we will be involved in helping, but we need to know why, and we need to have faith that the steps were taken.
Aaliyah Cortez Bridges.
Hello, everybody. So in 2011, I was an 8th grader at Glenbrook Middle School. If you recall, that was the year that Sequoia and Glenbrook were up against each other to see which one would be shut down. And surprise, surprise, Glenbrook was the one to go. Also was Holbrook, and they're back open. In 2015, I was a senior at Concord High. I was also the class president all 4 years. And Dr. Nellie Meyer asked me, what do you need? And I said, well, I need advocacy for Black and brown students. I need my people, I'm an Afro-Chicana, to be at school, not only when they enter, but that they graduate, and that there's follow through, that when they get to higher education, they're graduating there as well. Excuse me. Now, I'm a senior at UC Davis, and I work with the retention and recruitment. I work with the retention and recruitment of Black and brown students. Since then, I've sent maybe 4 or 5 emails. I've hit every single superintendent, and I've asked for one thing. What are we doing for our students? It's one thing that they get there, but we need them to graduate as well. And so I'm not here for the same thing they're here for, but that there's my mom, Daytanya Bridges Cortez. She works for Wren Avenue, and her hours were cut to 3 hours. That school is 80% Latinx. What are we saying to our parents if the only person that speaks Spanish on the campus is not there to help them from the morning to the end?
Bridges Cortez.
Good evening. I see you met my daughter. Very well spoken. Okay, I'm here for a different reason this evening. My name is Daytanya Bridges Cortez. I've been the community assistant at Wren Avenue, and I'm also a parent of a student currently at Wren Avenue. My issue, I'm sorry I'm speaking quickly, but I want to make sure I get in all the details. So my student started Wren this year, first day of school. Our office staff and our principal lead just made the decision that they were going to do address verifications for every single student that entered Wren Avenue this school year. Address verification, our district policy is that we do return mail, we do new registrations, TK Kinder, we do 6th and 9th grade. There was no reason why we had a line down the block for every single student, including the new kinder registrations this year, for rechecking address verification. So now I move forward to August 16th of this year. My other daughter, Mia Cortez Bridges, was pulled out of her classroom and lost educational time for a total of 40 minutes that day because her mother, who's on staff there, who's on leave, who injured herself by helping a family, and I'm currently on leave, was not there to sign an address verification form. I text my office, I called the office manager, she said, I can't do anything for you. Miss Lee, our principal, will have to make that decision. I text my principal and said, please put my child back in class. There was no reason for me to fill out that form. My child lost educational time. I spend my time day after day on my weekends. I help the homeless, I help those in need. They're all Wren students. Just today, I went to the food bank. I didn't get any food for myself. I took it all back to Wren Avenue. I'm disabled right now. I take care of families. The one day my daughter needed taken care of, no one took care of her. They took her out of class and left her out for something that didn't even need to happen. Thank you.
Lori Khan.
Hi, I'm Lori Korn. I have a kindergarten student over at Great Gardens Elementary. It's his second year there. The first year he had a TK teacher, Lorna Medeiros. And one of the issues we're struggling with, and we've written, several of us parents that are here have written to Dr. Meyer about this issue. We currently have 34 warm bodies in each of the kindergarten classes. And we understand that 34 is 2 over the district limit, and that 25 or 24 is what they strive for. So what we're here for today is to talk about, is to impress upon the board here that we want to see a solution happen, and we understand that the district has got until, I believe we've been told September 15th, which is 1 month into instruction. It's horrible for the kids that are currently in the classes that will be split. Some kids are going to have to leave if that's going to happen. So we're here to talk about, look, we want the district to do something, we want the district to make a decision, and we're not hearing anything, and it's really frustrating for all of us parents that are a part of this. And we know that that instruction is better when it's a smaller class size. Right now what we're seeing is our children aren't learning because the class size is too unmanageable. We've got students who are coming home bored, they don't want to go to class, and the class is disruptive. So we're here to just express our frustration with, we love our teachers are great, and we know they can do their job, it's just they're overwhelmed right now. So basically, if the district doesn't do anything until 9/15, they're losing pretty much a month of instruction. Our teacher has had to modify what she's teaching because she can't teach that number of children at the same time. So we're here to express our frustration over it and hope that the district will do something about it, and again, make the school great and the great school that it is, and give our teachers the resources that they need. Thank you.
Lisa Pinello.
Hi, good evening. I'm here speaking on behalf of the parents at Gregory Gardens Elementary School. My issue is how large the class sizes are this year. My daughter just started kindergarten and she's in a class of 34 students. I'd like to start by saying her teacher's phenomenal, but when I ask her how it's going in the classroom, she does say that it's very loud, noisy, and she has a hard time being heard. When I just feel like children learn better and they get more individual attention, and their specific learning needs get met when they're in a smaller setting. And test scores show this to be true as well. Higher numbers of students graduate college, and smaller class sizes are good for the child immediately and for the community's future.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our public comment period. And even though I realize you're not here to impress me, I will say that when you can come down to a meeting and advocate for your children and do it in a respectful and intelligent way, as most of you did this evening, it's much appreciated, and that's why we're here. We want to hear your concerns. We want to do what's best for all kids in the district, and I really thank you all for coming down here tonight and sharing your thoughts with me. Us. Thank you. And now, we're going to public employee appointments. 9.1, appointment of Director of Elementary Support. We'll give you guys a minute if you want to leave before we get to our appointments.
Charlie, you can stay here.
No, I know exactly. You're going to stick around? Are you ready to go now? you got to go. If you need to go, but you got to forward. We're good?
Yeah, I can't cover it all. I think we're going to I feel like I should. Well, there's another one on the 12th. Okay. So if I'm not resolved on the 12th, we'll come back. I know. I was thinking that if you guys pick around it, let's do it.
So, appointment of Director of Elementary Support, Dr. Meyer.
I will.
President Mason, Board of Education. We're very happy to start our appointment portion of the evening. I would like to recommend for the position of Director of Elementary Support, Margie Kalbeck. Margie comes to us and has been with us with a Bachelor's of Arts from St. Mary's College in Business Administration. She also has a Master's of Arts in Educational Administration. She currently is the principal of Valhalla Elementary, and she has been a vice principal at Meadow Homes Elementary and a 4th and 5th grade teacher at Cambridge Elementary. So it is my honor to recommend Margie Kalbeck for the position of Director of Elementary Support.
Madam President, I move the appointment of Margie Kalbeck for appointment for Director of Elementary Support. New title. Second.
All right.
I just want to say I was really pleasantly surprised. You've really been a force out there and a real piece of foundation.
And that passes 5-0.
Thank you, Board, and thank you, Dr. Meyer, for your faith in me. I just want to say that it has been my honor and privilege to serve at Valhalla for this is starting my 17th year. It is going to be different to make a change, but I'm really looking forward to the challenge of supporting all the elementary principals. And I would like to also thank Jose, thank you for putting faith in me to do this job. And I also would love to introduce my husband of 38 years who's been by my side all this time, Don Kalbeck. Thank you again, and I promise to do my very best to live up to this opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Meyer.
Congratulations.
Okay, now appointment of elementary principal, Sequoia Elementary, Dr. Meyer.
Yes, thank you, President Mason. I would like to recommend to the board for the position of Sequoia Elementary Principal, Patricia Kawahara. Patricia comes to us with a Bachelor's of Arts from UC Santa Cruz. She also has a Master's from San Francisco State University in Elementary Education, as well as a Master's from UC Berkeley in Education. She currently is the vice principal. Not so long ago, she was sitting here, so you may hear some things you've heard recently at Hidden Valley Elementary. She has been an English language coordinator at Walnut Creek School District, a new teacher program coordinator. She has been a director of compliance and educational services. She has been a principal at Jefferson Elementary in Oakland Unified, a vice principal in West Contra Costa, and a teacher for many years in West Contra Costa and San Francisco Archdiocese. So with that, I would like to recommend Patricia Kawahara for the position of Principal, Sequoia Elementary.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the appointment of Patricia Kawahara as principal of Sequoia Elementary.
Second.
And that passes 5-0.
Thank you, board members and Dr. Meyer, for this wonderful opportunity to serve the Sequoia community. It's been fabulous getting to know the Hidden Valley community, and I look forward to continuing to support Mount Diablo. Thank you. Oh, and my husband's here tonight.
You know, I always ask this, but when do they start? Because Margie's going to go through some withdrawal here. She's still turns up at graduations,
Yes.
you know, to see her kids. So.
Can I still come?
Yes. Forever.
Yes.
Forever. But are they starting?
We're still negotiating that. You see her former principal is here barring your door. And so I think she's going to make it hard on us, but we are definitely excited about having them in their new roles.
I'm sad for us, but I'm happy for them. She's amazing and they're going to love her.
Great.
Now it is middle school vice principal Eldorado.
Yes, thank you. Board, I would like to recommend for the position of middle school vice principal at El Dorado Middle School, Elizabeth Beth Kim. And Elizabeth comes to us with a Bachelor's of Arts from UC Berkeley in English. She also has a Master's of Arts from University of San Francisco in Educational Technology. She currently is a 6th, 7th grade core teacher at Sequoia Middle School. She has also been a core teacher at Stanley Middle School. She has experience as a literacy curriculum developer at Lawrence Hall of Science, Berkeley. She's been a 5th grade humanities teacher in Berkeley, an instructional assistant in Oakland, excuse me, a learning specialist at Aerosmith Academy, and that's ARROW, just kidding. And she also has been a 6th grade core teacher and ESL teacher in Albany and a foreign language teacher in Ecuador, so wonderful teaching experience. So I would like to recommend Beth Kim for the position of vice principal.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the appointment of Beth Kim as a middle school vice principal to be assigned at El Dorado Middle School.
Second.
I'd just like to thank the two principals of your potentially future school and your current school for showing up to cheerlead. That's very nice of them.
Thank you, members of the board and Dr. Meyer. And I'd also really like to thank my principal, Kevin Honey, who's been an amazing mentor to me these past few years. You actually missed one school that I taught at for several years at King Middle School in Berkeley, where I got my teaching start. I'm just honored to have this opportunity to work in Mount Diablo in this capacity. It's been something I've considered for many years, and for various reasons has seemed a very daunting task and one not to be taken lightly. So it's just remarkable today to be finally accepting this position, and I'm just really excited to move forward. So I'd also like to thank Chris Clausen for his faith in me, and I'm really looking forward to working at El Dorado. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, that takes us to board members' reports. Mr. Lawrence, you want to start us off?
So, I'm sure many of my fellow board members did have a chance to visit multiple schools. Yes, my report's always a good time to get out. So, there's a few, but I had the chance to visit several schools on the first day. And one of the things that there was a lot of excitement, there was a lot of energy. I certainly think of my 6 years on the board, by far the smoothest running the first day that I've seen, which was exciting. And one thing I do want to highlight is just that one of the things I always looked at is what are the lunches that the students are eating. If we could go to the next slide, please. So for the first one, it was a bag of chips and a cookie. On the right, it was a corn dog cake cookie, and then apples, which came in a plastic wrapper, which I know Mr. Machi is there in the background and feels the same as I do about that apples come in a naturally pretty good wrapper, and we don't need to slice them up and put them in plastic and then serve them to children. And then if we could go along to the next slide, please. So additional lunches that we had on the left, this was something that this was the only thing the student had to eat all day for lunch. And then on the right was a bag of chips and canned soda. And our students do not learn as well. Teachers talk about it, studies have shown it when we have sugar highs for our students and then they crash, as well as just simple health and nutrition. So this is an area that I will continue to highlight. I'm excited to have Mr. Machi. There we go, thank you. Leading the charge, because I know that he is very committed to improving this. And so I know we're going to hear lots of great things, and there were many wonderful things that happened on the first day, but I do think this is a continued area that we need to focus on. So that's my report. Thank you.
You would have loved my after-school programs. I had a zero tolerance, no soda, no chips, no candy.
And I would have, and I appreciate that. And I actually, just one last comment is the fact that I know all four of my fellow board members, this is something that each of you has spoken about, and President Mason, I know the work you've done around gardens within our district, and I think that it's just something that we need to make more of a coordinated and concentrated effort, because there are lots of really good things happening, but I think we need to make it a central focus.
I agree. Trustee Mayor?
Thank you. Like you, I visited a couple of schools. I visited Pleasant Hill Elementary School, and of course the parent coffee in the morning is always an exciting time for the principal and visitors to mingle and get acquainted with one another. And then I also visited Fair Oaks Elementary School, and I was going to proudly comment on the second chance breakfast that was being served. I believe that breakfast is very critical for students in their learning in the classroom throughout the day, and I had the pleasure of seeing students enjoying their second chance breakfast. Prior to the start of school, I also visited several other schools: Pleasant Hill Middle School, Gregory Gardens, Hidden Valley, Bel Air, Shore Acres, Rio Vista, Riverview, and Cambridge. So although I wasn't there on the first day, I was there the week prior and got to see the hustle and bustle in cleaning the campuses. I spoke to the custodians at a couple of sites and also to some of the landscape folks. So I applaud and appreciate all the hard work that went into opening the school by our faculty members and by our support staff. Thank you.
You, Trustee Hansen?
I think one thing I didn't want to miss was Holbrook Elementary, because for 5 years I advocated to reopen Holbrook Elementary, so every chance I get I like to go by there. And it was lovely. I went into a second grade classroom. I remember the enthusiasm there. She shoves me up in front of the room, and the next thing I know I'm asking kids questions, but I asked kids questions about how many love their school, and they literally were out of their seats like this. They are so happy to be back at Holbrook, and nobody takes it for granted. So I just, again, want to shout out to Dr. Meyer, who came on board, and I kept telling her, we have another elementary school over there. And she got it, and we got it back open. So they're a happy bunch, and they're excited to be there, and we ended up with 40 questions. I asked kids, how many of you walked to school? Because one of the concerns with Holbrook, from my perspective, were kids having to walk on streets without sidewalks to get to elementary school there for a while. So half the kids are walking to school now, and they're excited to be able to walk to their elementary school. Some are taking cars, and then I got reprimanded because, what about scooters? I went, oh, I'm sorry. So now we had to go through all the forms of transportation. I had no idea kids were taking scooters to school. But I want to thank the staff, because they've really, and the principal. The tone over there is, we're kind of going back and recapturing, because when Holbrook, unfortunately, the board chose to close that school, which I voted against, it was a lovely school on its way up academically, and there was incredible culture there. And I'm happy to say it's alive and well once again, and it didn't take long. It just took the commitment of the teachers and the community. So that's my board report.
Thank you.
I'm just going to say that I want to thank everybody, because it takes the village, right, to get school started again, and all staff and parents and students and the community. So just want to thank everybody for all the hard work. It's been a really successful opening, and just looking forward to a really great year based on that. Thank you.
And I went out the first day and visited Holbrook and Sun Terrace, Mount Deva High School, and Gateway Small Necessary High School. And then on Friday, Dr. Meyer and I went out and visited Bel Air, Shore Acres, Riverview, and Rio Vista in Bay Point. And again, it did not look like the beginning of the school year. It looked like they'd been there for a while. Everybody was doing what they needed to be doing, and kids were happy and engaged. And I think we're off to a good start, and I hope we maintain that throughout the rest of the year. And with that, we'll go to Dr. Meyer's report. Oh, no, we won't. I'm sorry. We will go to Hannah's report.
Hannah. Hannah first.
Good evening, President Mason, members of the board, Superintendent Meyer, Superintendent's Council, and members of the audience, the few that are left. My name is Hannah Genovan, and I am the ASB President at Concord High School. I'm going to start off with what's recently been happening. So this year we decided to choose a theme. We want to embody this theme throughout the whole school year, and the staff actually voted on it, and it's kindness. And this may be simple, but we often hear it very simply, and it's kind of something that goes over our head. But we wanted to really embody this in our school year and all the events that we put on for our students, and just keep it in our thought throughout the school year. And we want it to impact not just our students and our culture at our school that we're very proud of, but also the community. In order to introduce this theme, we had Dr. Layman Hicks, who's a motivational speaker from Florida. He's spoken in 46 states and in front of over 300,000 students. And he's shared his experience about how kindness helped him, and we thought it was a really good way to start off the school year in front of the entire school. In addition to that, we had some school activities that we had teachers administer in their classrooms. So activities about kindness and community and sharing arts, Concord High School culture with the community. It was pretty cool. Everybody seemed to have fun. Link Crew started, so Link Crew, I think you guys all know what that is. In case you guys don't, it's where juniors and seniors from our school form groups, and they help students freshmen get used to our school. So the first few days of school, they're allowed to be late to their classes, so they can help freshmen open their lockers and just with finding their classes and directions and stuff like that. So that was really cool to see that happen in the first few days of school. Our fall sports have hit the ground running. Our cross country team has collaborated with Nature Valley and Durian to have their first time trial thing. So it's the tryouts almost. It's this Wednesday at Newhall Park. And we even participated in a course cleanup at Hidden Valley this past Saturday with the rest of the league, so we can clean up our course for our meets. And our football team is very excited to have their new field this year. We are so excited to have it. We had our first home game not last Friday, but the Friday before, and it was just really cool to see all the people come out to see it. Even alumni came, and they really enjoyed the field because it's brand new. They really like it. We didn't win, sadly, unfortunately, but we were trying to redeem ourselves next Friday in our green out game, so everybody's going to wear green. That's our theme for our yearbook as well. So it's going to be a lot of great pictures. Volleyball, water polo, tennis have also started their games. They haven't really started any tournaments yet, but that's going to be coming in the next few weeks. So going on to leadership, we have a bunch of club and social organization applications out, so students can express their own personal talents and interests in groups at our school, and they'll be represented. We're going to represent them in rallies and stuff like that, so people can get used to their presence. And it's really great to include their culture, the culture of our school, include in the culture of our school. As well as that, we've also been preparing for our Welcome Back rally, which is this Friday, and that's kind of going to go along with our green out game, which is that night. And we are so excited for our new bleachers that we have. We can fit the whole school. Nobody has to sit on the ground, and it's really cool to have something like that. Another thing that we want to mention is Walnut Fest, which is coming up September 15th. and the theme is Disney, and leadership's working really hard to do a lot of decorations, and because that's like one of our events that we love going to because we just can show how much spirit we have at our school. And we also get to support band, choir, and band and cheer and auxiliary because they perform at that event. And our homecoming this year is really it's coming up really quickly. It's September 29th, which normally is at the middle to end of November. So we're really working hard to do that pretty fast. And this tomorrow, actually, we're interviewing 16 new leadership students to be admitted into our class. We have a small junior class, so we invited people to apply again for that, as well as our freshmen that are coming in, which I'm very, very excited for them. And we've just been doing a lot of back-to-school activities, walk through. We had a retreat for training our incoming leadership students, and the first few days of school, like I've already mentioned. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, and go Minutemen.
Good job. Now you get to follow that act, Dr. Meyer.
I just want to say, when the board approved that field, we promised that would be all wins.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what to
pretty
say.
close for a while.
I think we have a warranty or something. I want to thank them for doing that and for improving our schools, and you can see the impact right here when you hear it. So thank you, Hannah. I noticed we have Concord ASB well represented. We have an alum at UC Davis and Hannah, and it continues to be an extremely impressive ASB. When I met this young lady, she was a young lady, and also really kind of filed that away for recruiting as a possible future person here with us. So it's very nice to see you tonight. All right. Okay. I want to just briefly share with you some of the things that we have been working on and some of the things that we have been doing. We had our first couple of days, then we had our first board meeting, but we've now really delved in more deeply into the year. I want to say these two little eagles are from Mount Diablo Elementary School, the home of the Eagles, and I thought that was just the most adorable thing. They made their masks and are very excited to start school. I wanted to also share, here is a young lady. These pictures are so cute. They look like they're the professionals. This is a young lady from Rio Vista Elementary School, and I think she's really going to take on the world. She is in early elementary school and fits well with our district focus, which we've talked about, that it is a moral imperative to prepare all of our students for post-secondary success upon graduation, and to continue those high expectations and challenges for all of our students, because she deserves that and all of our students do. Going through some of the things that in the visits and the fun days that we've had in the first couple weeks of school, it's been so exciting. You can see here, this is YB High, and they always do a great job as well at welcoming their future class 2022. For those of us who remember 2000, that seems like a long way away. We did the math in our head. Wow, I'm going to be in my 30s. That's old. But that's what they're doing right now, 2022. And so those are the freshmen. And they had 2 assemblies because they have the 2 gyms. So they had one assembly on one side with their seniors and one with their 9th graders, and then they did 10th and 11th as well. And so they had a great kickoff. On the top picture, it's a little harder to see, but those are their campus supervisors, and this is a job that is something that you can't do without. And I took this picture as they were going through all the lists of the school, and they said, "Oh wait, don't think we sit." And I go, "I know, you never sit, stand still." And so there they were looking at their list for the school and really supporting it in the many ways that they do, and working together really well. Speaking of working together, Foothill Middle School had the opportunity to visit Foothill, and we have a dynamic new team in the upper picture there, very excited to work together. And then also we have our STEM lab with one of our science teachers, Margaret Elliott, and she was doing a community building activity with them. They were all standing up and engaging and doing a would you rather game. You may know that, would you rather ride an elephant or a giraffe was one I remembered. because I'm an elephant person. But, and then also their mascot there, which is in their picture there, and I think that's one of the 3 up there, I won't say which. Okay, Ayers. In the early days of school, I was able to visit Martha Thomas, who's a brand new principal at Ayers, and it seemed like she wasn't new at all. She was so excited and so thrilled to be there and start off the year. And the picture I always love to take is the one, and it looks the same at every school. These are the kindergarten parents, half day, waiting for the kindergartners to come out on the first day of school. And it's always a crowd, and they're always there with cameras, and the kids are like, fine, but the adults are so excited. It's a wonderful thing. If you've never seen it, I suggest doing this at least once in your lifetime. It's very uplifting. And then going forward, you can see here, Pine Hollow Middle School. Went to visit Pine Hollow, and Mr. Lawrence was there as well, and a new principal, Ben Campo Piano, and we did visit the cafeteria, as you mentioned. And then also, you can see here a teacher was really getting engaged inside the classroom on trying to develop that love of books. And so she had this whole activity around how do you taste a book, how do you feel it, kind of sensory engagement. And they had a wonderful start with balloons and music, and they were very excited to start their year. Going here as well, there are certain principals that I can tell, and the last 2 were examples. They like all of you better than us, but that's okay. This is an example. Riverview Middle School. The Riverview Bay Point area principals are the best at taking pictures, I have to say. And you can see here, principal ready to go, excited about the new year. And he created, and this is the sign in the conference room, a conference room for his campus security person, and surprised her with it last Friday and had a grand opening, named the room after her, and she just kind of stood there in the photo like, why are you doing this to me? Very humble, shy person, but he was all the more excited to dedicate that room to her. And Riverview had a great start, every kid in class, and the campus looked great, so thank you to maintenance for that hard work. Shore Acres Elementary School. The gentleman in the upper right picture, he is Mr. Coffee, and he's a teacher there, and he enjoys having lunch with the students. And so you can see they enjoy having lunch with him as well. And then in the bottom, we were able to go in with Salima Moss to see one of the teachers doing some great instruction, and all the students were down listening. And then I have to point out this shark. They have this on their teachers' t-shirts and their logos, and I went up to a teacher and said, that's great, and he said, I drew it. And so it was created by a teacher on the campus. And
Mr. Miller.
Mr. Gordon Miller, who is an artist, who knew. And so we're very excited, and you can see that theme throughout. And the shark now has a mortarboard and cap, which is a new addition. So no doubt, a smart shark. Speaking of capes, I guess I wasn't yet, but another cape is Delta View. They had a welcome back assembly, and if you look at this picture, doesn't that make you want to go to that assembly, especially if you're in elementary school? They are having fun, and so the school really was one of those that was highlighted by the elementary group of some different ways that they were welcoming back their students, and that's just great shot. Okay, Rio Vista Elementary School. There's kindness, Hannah. And so one of the things that they're doing with their PBIS is they're developing themes, and they're talking to the students, and they're videotaping them and asking them questions, and the students are really getting engaged in it. Liz Lanfricki Law on the right, brand new principal, and the equity team was there visiting as well, and Ms. Mason was there, and those Bay Point folks are great at capturing exciting moments. They had something that was so wonderful. It was their first time. They thought they'd try it. They had a fashion show, and it's khaki and dark blue, or no, black, khaki, and white.
And navy blue.
And navy blue, and they had 100 different ways, like tights and different color khaki, different shirt, khaki on the top, khaki on the bottom.
Jumper, skirt,
jumper, I don't know. They did an amazing job, so they had a fashion show for all of their grades, and so you saw the students get up in their different, whatever it was, combo, skirt, pants, and vest, and then they'd run across. Now the 5th graders took their moment and showed off. The K1s were like, they got up, they ran across and they ran down. But it was really a clever way of imparting that idea of we're going to wear a uniform, and Fridays are purple days and the rest are uniforms. I want to also share, we have Bel Air Elementary School, and this was the 2nd day of school, and the kindergartners already knew how to come in the cafeteria, put their trays down, go in and do whatever they needed to do. They were amazing, and they did a great job. And a very enthusiastic staff, Principal Humphreys, Vice Principal Wheeler, and what they're focusing on this year is avid strategies across the board. All of the Bay Point schools are doing that, but Bel Air in particular is honing in on that idea that you can do anything you want to do. So very excited about that. And then Mount Diablo Elementary School again went up there last week. The principal, who is formerly at YVE, is loving this new challenge, and the students. And it was just a gorgeous day, and they did they were well organized, very large school, and they're very proud of their gardens. And we've heard that here in the boardroom, how they're very excited about it. And they have both vegetable, but a lot of flower gardens. And we just heard today, Joe Bruno, their vice principal, was an avid student. And so that's something that's kind of exciting that he's proud of. And so that is the garden that we heard discussed here in the boardroom, and I recommend visiting it. The flower theme, Silverwood Elementary School, there's always a little something for you to catch. Maybe you'll see it in this slide. Raise your hand when you see it. Okay, thank you. Silverwood is one of those schools that I always go, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm going to go find this hidden gem. It's kind of like Mountain View. When I visited Mountain View, it's just, everything's really nice, it's going well. And they were focusing on their engineering resource center they developed, and I didn't know about it, so I was excited to see it when I visited. They have a part of their pod rather than storage, and we've been moving away from that at all of our elementary schools. They have an area where students can come in and play with things and really engage in engineering activities. That photo with the flowers was supposed to have the principal and the office manager, and they ran out of the picture. They're very humble leaders. Wren Elementary, and Wren Elementary is taking on their arts focus, and they're working on brain activities and arts, and they're honing in more on the musical arts. And so they have an activity in the front office where they are doing music and talking about the music that they're excited about. And here there's one that moves, but I got the one that doesn't, but you can see they're on their way to moving. And these are the pictures we need to show the students. This is what the teachers do when they're not in the classroom. I put this on here, it's subliminal. When I visited College Park last week, I saw Jay, and we've been talking a little bit about Jay and the bond that the board voted on, and I thought, I'm kind of looking for J's, like Sesame Street, you see J's everywhere. J, the letter of the day. And so I wanted to put that up there for you to see, and just a reminder. The campus looked great. The campuses all really looked good. And we heard a lot about Sequoia today, and I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so you can see Friday when I visited, the front office staff had a hedgehog, and there's the principal engaging, and There's one person back there who's not quite sure, but they were having that in their science class. So that was their visitor, and that really made science come alive. In the bottom picture, you can see students who are working on a collaborative activity in their first 5 days of school and really enjoying it. Great group of kids. And summer work. Julie Johnson, principal, she said, you have to see this bathroom. And so she walked Mr. Espinosa and I in, and then she said, okay, smell it. And I went, should I? She goes, yes. And it smelled beautiful. Then she said, okay, don't come back. It'll the year will go on. We'll come back in August again. But truly, she was very pleased with her collaboration. She was asked her opinion about colors and the work, and it really looks wonderful. Some more summer work. I know we've had some strong meetings in advocacy around, and important advocacy around Mount Diablo bleachers. So I was at Mount Diablo High School last week, and the crew was extremely friendly, and I took pictures of where the bleachers were. They have two sides where they're putting it, and the ones in the middle are there. But they're very excited about getting that done, and I know that the school will be very happy to see that when that is done. And Friday Night Lights, it's just kind of a fun thing. If you're in elementary or middle, I suggest going, and board members, we're going to get you those passes so you can go, because it's really fun to go and drop in and see all that excitement. It's hard to put into a picture because you have to hear it and smell it and enjoy it, and it's really a wonderful opportunity. And Friday Night Lights also includes lights in the gym for girls volleyball and other sports that we're having right now. Speaking of other sports we're having, cross country is such a hard-working team that doesn't always get the cheers because no one wants to run around after them to cheer them. Sometimes there's parents along stops with oranges. But what they did this Saturday was YV High School went out to clean up the trail that is around their campus. And so a whole entire crew went out there and did that, and they seem pretty happy with it, even though it's a lot of hard work. So things going on even on Saturday. More Saturday, Woodside had their welcome back picnic where they welcome their kindergartners and they host a picnic. So Saturday we don't stop. And then also Saturday, Meadow Homes had a book coding, get your books in the classroom party. And so they are really a wonderful team, and really you can see here this is the new vice principal in disguise, but she's getting the books together, and the principal's up here in the other photo. So they got together to do the barcodes and get everything ready. And so then lastly, just wanted to say a couple of darlings from Shore Acres. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
We have to do the real work now.
Yeah. The fun time's over now. No, it's not. The fun time's just beginning because it's Budget and Fiscal Service Department report. Hey. Goodbye, Hannah. Thank you. Great report.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Mason, board members, Dr. Meyer, thank you, staff, and members of the public. Tonight before you is a proposal to reorganize the Budget and Fiscal Services Department. And okay, there should okay, I think we got it. There we go. There you go. All right, thank you, Nancy. There are three modifications to this proposed reorganization. The first is a creation of the budget department, a fiscal department, and reclassification of the chief accountant to the director of budget. The second is reclassifying the accounting supervisor to an accounting manager. And then the third is reassigning the two fiscal analysts to the budget and fiscal departments. And let me go into the first one. Here's the rationale. And Nancy Junior, Director of Fiscal Services and Budget, she'll come up and also assist with a couple of these points as well. So the first, creation of the Budget Department, a Fiscal Department, and reclassifying the Chief Accountant to Director of Budget. The reason for this is to balance the workload and responsibilities and improve the workflow, communication, quality, and efficiency. And the Director of Budget will be created by reclassifying the Chief Accountant position, so no additional FTE will be required for this. And let me just show you why I think this picture, it's kind of small, but it'll kind of illustrate the reason for this. This is the current structure right now. And as you see, the Fiscal Director, which is the middle box there, they're responsible for all 4 of those sub-departments within that department, which is a pretty extensive and big responsibility. Which includes the payroll and all your other accounting functions, your accounts receivable and your accounts payable, in addition to all the budget. This is what the proposed structure would look like. We would divide up the tasks between the fiscal director and the budget director. So now you do have 2 distinct departments within fiscal services, which one would be the budget director responsible for the planning, the direction, the forecasting of the budget, as well as all the appropriate staff would report to that position. And then the fiscal director would be more of your accounting director, which would be responsible for accounting functions like your payroll, AP, and your AR. This is what a typical structure looks like in a district our size, and for our budget, our size as well. And it flows and it provides some other opportunities for staff as well. And so the sources of information for this proposed structure, we looked at a couple of districts, we looked at job descriptions, we looked at comparable salaries, and then we also got input from staff, of course, because they've been here the longest and they kind of know what their functions are and what would seem to be more appropriate. So this is the first component, or the first item here for the restructuring. And Nancy's going to talk a little bit about the components 2 and 3, and then I'll come back up and wrap it up for you guys.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm just excited to have this happening. We've been talking about this in budget and fiscal for probably almost 10 years. And then we never had the oomph to get it going, and then having Rose come in and do this for us is wonderful. So the second is to reclassify the accounting supervisor to the accounting manager. This position is the person that actually does all of the accounts payables. So they actually process over $50 million in expenses on an annual basis. They're responsible for all of the 1099s that we send out, which is about 170. And they definitely need to know about the sales tax and use tax. They need to know a lot of the government regulations, and more than just ed code, but it's also not labor code, but construction code and public contract code and stuff. So this position, if we go over here, it's currently at a range 4, and we're asking to be raised to a range 10. That would be more in line with the other managers in the department. That's the same as our payroll manager. And again, as the slide says, the complexity and the supervisory responsibility and the consequence of error is a lot higher than what its current range is. The third item is to reassign 2 fiscal analysts to the budget and fiscal department. So we have 2 fiscal analysts. One fiscal analyst 2 is actually supporting the instructional program. They were originally in our office, so they're coming back to us. And that was helping with the federal grants and the LCF supplemental. So it's basically coming back to help us better serve the schools and to keep more on task and to make sure we meet our reporting requirements and stuff. And then the other one is in the student services department. And again, that one was mainly for Medi-Cal and MAW, which is a revenue generating, which has a lot of reporting, and we want to make sure that we can keep on that. So like I said, these originally were here in the fiscal department, so we're just kind of bringing them back. And the last line is probably one of the most important part, that it's going to be able to be cost neutral. And I believe Rose will be talking about that.
Okay, so that's the rationale. And here we go. This is the cost neutral. It was also in the summary report. So basically there's the 2 positions that currently exist over to your very left. and we're proposing the movement over to the right, to the Director of Budget and Accounting Manager. The added cost for doing this is about $30,600. However, we recently experienced some attrition. Some two staff that have been here for a very long time retired, and they had been placed at the highest salary range and also had many years of longevity. So we were able to recapture those dollars, and it was a good opportunity for us to be able to propose this reorganization. And this is a time when a district can do that, or an organization, so you don't really impact current staff. There is no one there that will be impacted other than those opportunities that we may create for existing staff. So we take the savings from that, which is about $33,000, it's the $32,751 over on the left. We apply it to the cost, and we actually end up with a little bit of a savings. It's basically cost neutral, which makes this even more doable. And then finally, here is the summary. Again, we mentioned some of these. It will provide some growth opportunities for our staff. It will assist with staff retention and attraction, because our job descriptions are now applicable to the duties that they do, and they're aligned with the appropriate salaries given the similar industry that we are in. And then it will allow for development of an internal pool to fill future attrition and minimize the impact of vacant key positions. As we know, many of us are not going to be here for a long time, and we always need to think about grooming those others that are in the lower level positions and providing those opportunities, which is a benefit to the district. And then finally, of course, we've already said this is cost neutral. We're not proposing any additional FTE, just repurposing some savings that we are able to recapture. And this is pretty much summarizing it. So thank you very much for your time and consideration. It's just information tonight, and we'll bring it back. Anything else?
Job descriptions.
Oh, and the job descriptions are later as well in the board report.
Thank you. Does any of the board members have questions before the ladies sit? No? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're now to the consent agenda. Items listed under consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved or adopted by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. However, any item may be removed from the consent agenda upon the request of any member of the board and acted upon separately. Do any board members wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I'd like to pull items 13.13 and 13.20.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion approving the rest of the agenda.
Madam President, I move the board approve the consent agenda with the exception of 13.13 and 13.20, which will be considered separately.
Thank you. Second.
And that passes 5-0-0. Thank you. And now we will have 14.1, purchase of equipment for Mount Temple High School's Serendipity Remodel Project. Trustee Lawrence?
So I shared with the superintendent. I just had a question as I looked at the website for the particular for the vendor, and I didn't understand in the paperwork, so it looked like the cost of the freezer and then the refrigerator, that those would each be around $3,000 each. And so I was not clear what the other $35,000 or so would be, or I might have just misunderstood it. But I was trying to have an understanding of the price of the equipment and just what went into the $41,000.
I think from both sides we have the funder and the fundee, and so Heather Fontanella and Dominic Machi regarding the refrigerators at Serendipity.
So the refrigerator and the freezer unit is a massive unit, and so and Dominic can probably speak to this more than I can, but we have to remove the old unit and then replace the new unit, and so it's a lot of labor intensive work that has to be done. And again, this is needed to bring it up to code. It just isn't safe anymore. And it goes with the whole renovation of the restaurant space.
So yeah, that's correct. The 41,000 is for the replacement of the walk-in refrigerator, and then in the back is the way it's been designed to have a freezer, so it's an exact same replica of what's existing right now. So it's just a matter of pulling it out and replacing it. As Heather said, it's reached its point of age. It's time to go. So, and that was we had gotten multiple bids for that.
Thank you. But don't go far.
All righty.
Just to pick up on that, I just want to say that what we haven't talked about yet is the renovation of Serendipity, and there's some really great things going on with that program that's been around for decades, and at some point it'd be wonderful to get an update on that because they're really proud of what is coming. It's going to really modernize it. It's great.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion on 14.1.
Madam President, I move the board approve the purchase of equipment for Mount Diablo High School Serendipity remodel project.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. And that passes 5-0-0. Okay, and the next one is the piggyback bid for Pizza Hut from Fontana Unified School District, bid number 15161444. Mr. Lawrence?
Told Mr. Machi not to go too far. And I've already had a conversation with him, but I was hoping he could just share a bit more about this program and why this particular vendor was selected.
Thank you. The reason we selected this vendor is, well, there's a couple things. First of all, the pizza that we serve is typically a frozen pizza that is reheated at the site versus this is a freshly made pizza that's delivered to the site hot and fresh. So there's a difference in quality. The pricing structure is the same. Our issue is there's not many to do a hot, fresh delivered pizza to our school sites. There's not many vendors that can handle a district of our size. So if you take a look at the competition that's out there, there is Papa John's, there's Domino's, and there's Pizza Hut. Luckily, with the kids, we ran a pilot with the Pizza Hut, and the participation just went crazy. And the way I figured it was, if the pizza meets, which this does, meets the National School Lunch Program and has a child nutrition label connected to it, which is the same as the frozen pizza that we're buying now, and the cost is actually less, then to me it makes sense. The only thing was for us to go out to bid, to streamline that process, we thought it would be best if we could piggyback off a bid, which was Fontana Unified. So this is something that maybe we're just going to treat our students maybe once, it's for the elementary school only, so we're going to do it maybe once a month, no more than maybe twice a month. But when the kids seen it the first time that we ran the pilot, they got so excited, they were very excited, and obviously there's some brand name recognition in that, so I won't kid you about that.
Plus you couldn't get it brought in from Bleecker Street, New York, or that would have been perfect.
Yeah, right. I mean, I wish we could go to the Rocco's of the world and Skippolini's and give it to our local vendors, but they just were too big.
Yeah.
They just can't handle it.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
No.
Dairy products.
I actually appreciate that we're improving what we're currently doing, and so I appreciate Mr. Machi's efforts there. I might still vote no.
Then I'll make a motion. Madam President, I move the board approve the piggyback bid for Pizza Hut from Fontana Unified School District, bid 15/16-1444, pizza delivered and ready to serve.
I just have to laugh though. I'm wondering if the 1516 stands for the year 2015-16.
Maybe.
Oh, I don't know.
Good bid, huh?
Okay.
Is that a second?
Second.
That passes 4-1. Better never see you with a pizza on site there, buddy.
No, ma'am. I'm still ready for our dairy conversation, which
Okay,
has been
well.
pushed back a couple months.
Okay. District organizations, do we have any cards? No. Okay. Takes us to business action items, 17.1. Sixth Amendment to the restatement of the employment agreement for services of district superintendent.
Madam President, am I on?
Yeah, you are on.
You have to get close.
Okay. It's my distinct pleasure to present to the board the sixth time the board is going to be amending Dr. Meyer's agreement. It's to remind everybody the Sixth Amendment provides you with the right to counsel, the right to a jury trial. That's a different amendment. And I would commend it to you. The basic term that would be changing would be extending her contract from June 30th, 2021 to June 30th, 2022.
You made it to 22.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to 2020s, but 2022 is a good number.
Very good.
You know, since I fought for 2 years, my first 2 years on the board, to get somebody as high quality as Dr. Nellie Meyer, I want to take the honor here of making this motion. Took me 2 years of taking a lot of flack. It's well worth it.
I was going to say, and thank you for that.
Worth it. So, Madam President, I move that the board approve the Sixth Amendment to and reinstatement of the, well, where is the motion down here? Let me go down here. Approve the Sixth Amendment to and restated employment agreement for service of the district superintendent.
Second. A resounding Alrighty.
Don't we typically draw this out a little longer than
We want to verify more?
Yes.
I wanted to say something. Okay, please do.
I want to thank the board and say that it has been my pleasure to work with each and every one of you. You all are passionate about what you believe in and get excitement and joy out of different things. So it's been very fun for me to work with you. I also want to thank the team that is Mount Diablo Unified. It's a wonderful team. It has so many strong people who care and work very hard and do a lot of heavy lifting inside, outside, in every role. So they're amazing, and I get to be here. And lastly, you know, we have a lot of community input, and it's a positive community. And tonight we have people who disagreed about something and people who agreed, and going out into the community of this district is a joy because people are not afraid to tell you what they think, and you always know where you stand. So it's been very welcoming. It seems like 5 years went like that. Hopefully your 2 years also went like that before I got here. No, but I did want to thank everyone who is here, and I really appreciate all of you. So thank you.
Okay, 17.2, Ignition Valley High School new courses of study, advanced English and public health, contemporary issues in education and exploration of child and adolescent literature honors. This is for information. So do the board members have any questions or concerns to share at this time?
I just want to make a comment. I thought it was very exciting stuff to read. So I just want to thank and congratulate the staff for it. If you haven't looked at it, it's really, it's that whole, we don't use this terminology as much anymore, but the rigor and the relevance, you know, this is it in action. So it's really great. It's exciting.
I'd like to say, having taught English for 10 years at Ignacio Valley High School myself, it was exciting to see. And one of the things I thought in reading through those courses of study, because I like modernization. I think you get sick to death of people going out and teaching novels, and the same 10 novels. So what was really nice was to see something contemporary. But what I really appreciated in the course of study was the opportunity for students to look at all sides. There's a lot involved in their researching different perspectives, different opinions, having to advocate for different opinions, having to address different opinions, and not just one side of an issue. Because when I first saw it, I went, oh gee, let me hope that when I read through this, there are students looking at all sides. Because one of the problems today, I think, in our world is people butting heads all the time and not being willing to listen and look at different people's perspectives. So I enjoyed a couple of times in there where it talked about the students had to actually purposefully, they could take a side, but they had to look at the other side as well and research and justify that. So I thought it was very exciting, very high level, and should be very interesting for students in today's world. So I thought it was fantastic they took this on.
I want to give credit to our curriculum and instruction, Jennifer Sachs, Heather Fontanella, Mike Jimenez, and Ava Huckabee. And they all work together very hard on this. This sounds a lot like International Baccalaureate, but it's a pathway, and it's the education pathway. And when I went to YV on the first day of school, Ava had his hands in the air as he was describing it. And he saw it up there. And so just a really great team.
Thank you. 17.3, revision of the job description for Director of Elementary Support, which we saw last month, so it's here for action tonight.
There's one correction on the attachment. As you look at the very top primary function, the assistant superintendent, where it says under the direction of the assistant sup, it needs to say elementary there rather than the old title.
Madam President, I move the approval of the revision of the job description for Director Elementary Support.
Second.
Thank you.
So I have a question before we move forward. So are we still calling the department student achievement and because that's in the first paragraph? Is it the assistant superintendent of student achievement and school support, or is it the assistant superintendent of school support?
Squinting here. It should be in the first primary function portion or in the summary?
In the primary function, in the first sentence.
Yeah, that is the correction that I was referring to. So where it says the assistant superintendent of student achievement and school support, it is changed to elementary. And there's one other place as well, and that that I see is on number 27. Similarly, those throughout the document will be switched to assistant superintendent elementary.
So student achievement and school support will be struck in entirety.
Yes.
That was one of the worst acronyms ever, was SAS.
But the department for, okay, all right. Well, and I don't disagree with that. I went to the website and looked at the departments, and then there is the C&I department, and there's the school support department. So I was just trying to figure out what the correct title would be.
And you are correct, we're still catching up with some of this change, and so the title of this person would report to the assistant superintendent elementary, and then the title would be, they would be within the elementary office. And then there would no longer be the student achievement school support department.
Okay.
We're on to 7.4, change title of job description from Assistant Director Personnel Services to Assistant Director Human Resources. Again, we saw this last month.
Madam President, I move that the board approve item 17.4.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. 17.5. Classified personnel for 17.5, creation of job description and creation of position of coordinator, assessment, research, and evaluation. Once again, we saw it last month, so we are taking action tonight.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the creation of the job description and the creation of the position of coordinator, assessment, research, and evaluation.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. And that passes 5-0. Now on the next one here, 17.6, we have 2 speaker cards. So David King. Clean.
Morning, Dr. Meyer. I've been with the district for 15 years, 14 as a manager. I came from the private sector. When I went to work for the district, I took a 50% pay cut. This year, I'm equal to what I was 14 years ago. And now my fear is with this change that we're going to lose our supervisory, our evaluation. It's the first step of us being taken backwards. And my fear is our salary will go the other way. And we all work, we have a great team, and we're all striving to improve. The district used to be on the cutting edge, and now we're starting to regain what we lost. But we need it with the staff we have and all the experience with it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Trina Bone.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity, Board and Dr. Myers. First, I'd like to say that I too have been with the district for many years, 34 to be exact, in the food service department. But we don't know where this is coming from. We have decades of experience. It feels like a demotion. More and more responsibility, but less and less authority. We feel our future advancement opportunities are evaporating. We have no idea where this direction of the department is heading towards and what their vision is for us. We need clear direction of who do we need to turn to if we cannot correct, if we have a problem with an employee, if that responsibility is taken away from us. We need clear job descriptions, exactly, in writing, what is exactly our responsibilities. And also, a manager oversees an operation of their department and all the staff employees. A supervisor oversees all manager and operations. So we don't understand the need for the change because what is already working is in place. And before making any decision about this subject, if the board could give all food service employees, why this is necessary, a change, or the direction of what the department has hoped for. Thank you.
I just have a quick question because this is the job description we're looking at, and you said that parts of it are not clear to you. What part is it that doesn't seem clear to you from the job description?
I was just came to speak. have something that many of us are feeling, so I'm not really sure what all the issues are.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
That's okay. Thank you. Okay. Any comments from the board?
I would just ask if, before we vote, if there's more information from staff on this.
I would ask that because as I'm listening to the comments from the 2 employees, I can't actually answer what their questions are. And not that I need to be as a board member down in every job description, but I think those questions are pretty fundamental to people in their workplace. So I would be concerned about not having that information or answers to it, because if I can't answer it, that means I haven't heard it.
I'd ask if Rose Ramos could come up. I think the primary thing that is being asked, as you heard, is information about the rationale and what this will mean for current incumbents.
Yes, and so the rationale is that, again, we're just reviewing job descriptions. This is part of that other group that we are reviewing, and the salaries will not be impacted. I heard that was a question of concern. Not at all. And the second thing is that the only other change, the supervisory and the evaluation, those two tasks will be taken out. So really, it's less responsibility at the same pay rate. And we have been studying this for some time in collaboration with, of course, our Human Resource Department and Dominic, who brings many, many years of experience. He's again going through his department and trying to align like duties with the job responsibilities and making the necessary modifications. And just to give you an example, these positions have the manager title in their title, but their supervisors have the title of supervisor. So it's a little misleading. And so we're just trying to align and, you know, correct some of the things that just haven't been changed over time, but no impact on benefits, no impact on salaries. That will remain the same, just a little bit of less responsibilities.
Who was about the concern of promotion or opportunities within the job, within the field? I heard expressed a concern that this could hinder pathways within the
I don't believe it will, and this is where I will, Dominic he knows the pathways to that a little better than I do, but I believe this will be probably more of a benefit because it will allow staff to focus more on the actual tasks instead of the...
Yeah, the pathways won't change because basically when in the supervisory association, the first step for as a manager, as a food service manager, was typically in an elementary school, and that could be of a certain volume. Then it goes on to a senior food service manager, which is typically at a junior high school or at a high volume elementary school, which could be, say, Cambridge or Meadow Homes. And then the last step would be a principal food service manager, which is a manager of the high school. Those high schools, which are very high volume, they have more staff to supervise. So that is the pathway. After that, then it's going into the DMA, it's going into management positions after that. So that is their pathway.
So their supervisors were, managers and supervisor position titles were switched, is what you're saying? So the supervisors supervised.
Well, so in the DMA is the area supervisors, which are actually the supervisors. They are the ones that actually will do the evaluations. And so the only thing that's changing here is basically is a classification, but they will not be able to evaluate
so this,
or discipline.
The two areas I heard most concerned about, just from the two folks who spoke, were the opportunities for promotion and then the impact potentially on people's salaries who are already in positions, and that there'd be a regressive.
Which we just explained, that will not be.
Okay, so that those
Neither
are
one
the
of
two
those will
areas
take
I'm
place.
hearing.
No.
Ms. Mayo?
I think excuse me, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I did also hear the concern, kind of what you're talking about is the clarity around the supervisory function. Where does that go? Maybe.
So when it comes to, so at the site level, under this position, under this job description would still allow the individual to give direction to a lower class employee. And I don't mean to say that derogatory, but it's just its status and what their job classification is. So if you are in this particular case called a lead worker, you will give direction to a food service assistant 3, which even a food service assistant 3 has the capability to give direction to a 1 because they're coordinating the food production that goes on to a kitchen. The area supervisor, though, is the one that can come in and actually do an evaluation of all the individuals in that site because they're part of the management team. And so they are doing the evaluating. So we don't have multiple levels of evaluations going on with the area supervisors. Although the lead workers or the managers at this point in time will have input on employees during the evaluation process, absolutely. We want them to have input because they're with them day to day.
Has your question been answered, Ms. Mayo, or yes?
Yes, it has.
All right, thank you, sir.
Well, one final thing, one final question is the process used to arrive at these recommendations. I know there's been, and I appreciate actually the consolidated effort to kind of try to modernize organizational structures and make them more effective. What was the process of communication? Because if we have employees down here tonight saying they don't understand this, how is this communicated to employees in the food services?
So I believe this was a meeting between the Supervisors Association and Human Resources. I happen not to be a part of that meeting. I knew about it, but I was not a part of that discussion. Those were pretty much confidential discussions between Human Resources and the Supervisors Association. So that did take place, and then that's when it's been brought forward.
So were the supervisors responsible to bring it back to other employees, the information, or is it?
I believe that was, that's more of a human resource question, but I think this has been in discussion as has been said. Most of our job descriptions have kind of fallen out of their time frame, and so they're being evaluated as we speak. We have certain jobs that are quite old that we have to take a look at. So, but I believe this has been a function and a goal of the Human Resource Department.
Yeah, I'd appreciate the look at modernizing job descriptions and job titles and reorganizing that is the issue. I just am hearing the concerns about how this information may have been communicated and the anxiety that I just stated. I think that somehow this is going to prevent promotion, which you're saying no. It doesn't close down any avenues. No. And secondly, it does not impact salaries, where other employees will go backwards and because of
we would not recommend that, no.
Right,
not, yeah.
Which is really demoralizing
exactly.
and destructive and not Mount Diablo Unified's mission.
Right, and so, and I agree. We would not do that, bring anybody back to where they're at.
That's what I want stated.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. All right, so I will entertain a motion if anybody is and we'll die for lack of a motion.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the revision of the job descriptions and change the job classifications for food and nutrition services managers at the site level.
Thank you. Is there a second? I will second it just so we can vote on it. And that passes 5-0. Thanks. Okay, 17.7, classified personnel. Approve the job description and create position for full-time mail clerk / courier. And again, this is an action item. Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move the board approve the job description and create the position for a full-time mail clerk / courier.
Thank you. Second. And that passes 5-0. Thank you. And next we have 17.8, classified personnel. Approve the job description and create position for special education student records assistant. This again is an action item.
Madam President, I move the approval of the job description and creation of the position for special education student records assistant.
Thank you.
Second.
And that passes 5-0. 17.9, classified personnel, change in department name from Personnel Services to Human Resource Department, and authorize staff to change personnel or Personnel Services to Human Resources in all job descriptions and on all personnel documents.
Madam President, I actually think this is a
Long overdue
change, and I would move that the board approve item 17.9.
Thank you.
It just sounds funny, you know. Fasten your seatbelt here, that's a big issue.
Well, it's a universal motion that just takes care of everything instead of bringing it back multiple times.
So were you seconding that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I'm just injecting a little.
She was just being humorous over here. She's getting funnier as the meetings go on, I wonder why.
Okay, there it is there. Okay, it's coming up. Yep.
And that passes 500, right. Now, the next here is for information. Create new job description for Director of Budget, which we heard about in the report tonight. And any questions? If not, the next one is to create a new job description for Accounting Manager, which we heard about in the report tonight. Okay. And the next one is to create a new job description for, there was only two, okay, so we're good with those two. And now amend board policies and administrative regulations and adoption of new board policy and administrative regulations relating to immigration status under Assembly Bill 699, which was passed in 2017. And having read through the volumes of paper that we were sent on this, I will say it seems, as we were told by our attorney, that we already have covered much of this in our resolution that we passed last year. But if you have any other comments to add?
Well, basically, this is a filling in the details that the legislature has required you to fill in. As the board president recognized, there were a lot of discussions last year concerning this. A lot of advice had come from different quarters. The superintendent and her staff have looked forward to this and provided direction to the school sites. What this is the Attorney General and the California School Boards Association catching up with all of that information that you all have provided. So basically, the only comment I would have is there is one of these would come back with a little slight change. We've been talking about titles tonight, and of course, it says the same issue. In AR 5111.1, there's a title issue that I did not pick up because it's from well before. The title says Assistant Superintendent, Special Education and Student Services, which was eliminated some time ago. That will simply change to Assistant Superintendent. That's the process. It's the process of investigating and determining the residency of a student. My suggestion is simply to come back as Assistant Superintendent, because each Assistant Superintendent is responsible for their grade levels in this process. So that'll come back. Other than that, all of these are simply catching up on some language and inserting the term immigration status, except for the new board policies, board policy 5145.13, an administrative regulation of the same number. Those basically put in writing what you already have in place of how to interface with federal immigration authorities. The primary advice on that, and I've always told this, all the staff people have asked me the questions. They have a gun and a badge. Cooperate to them to the extent you can, and don't get arrested, please. But we'll work with them. Give us a call. Superintendent and I and a number of other folks will hopefully intervene. We have not seen too much of that in this particular area, and we're hoping that remains at that level.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I just want to thank you, Larry, for all your work on this, because I did read through them, and some, as you point out, some really sensitive issues, and I think, I mean, I know you're following some templates or whatever, but I think they actually do a really good job, so thank you for doing that.
Okay. Which brings us to yes, sir. Done?
Just the first reading.
Yeah. Yep. We'll visit it next one. 17.13, Ms. Mayo.
Madam President, I ask that you do a roll call vote. I have a potential conflict of interest as my husband worked on a construction project in the east, which is now concluded for Lakeshore Learning. Thank you.
All right, so fiscal transitions for Lakeshore Learning for July 2018. I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that the board approve, let me go down here, my cursor. Approve Lakeshore Learning transactions for July 2018.
Thank you. Second. We have a motion and a second. Trustee Durkee?
Yes.
Trustee Hansen?
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence?
Yes.
Trustee Mason votes yes, so it passes 4-0-0-1, right? Okay, I do not think we need a meeting extension, so having said that, we are adjourned.
Considering how long we thought it was gonna be.
No.